I thought about a long time ago. I was like, this would be much healthier. Because to turn those logs now you get as a drop into planks, it costs money, so it was like a money sink. They had the, I believe, 10 rune ores that used to drop, and now it drops like 2. So obviously they had money sinks in their head. They were like, you know what, this is too much money. Let's remove this alchable item right here, or decrease it by a lot. I'm not sure about all the other things. I think they made the Dragon Halley a bit more rare, or they half the rate of it. So Dragon Halley obviously gets up for like 300k. So they had like a good mindset for the nerfing of Zora, and then they implement this thing in the wilderness that drops unbelievable amount of alchable items, and it kind of contradicts the entire. What was the point of nerfing Zora if like you were gonna do this later? I guess it's kind of maybe the fighting argument. I don't really. It just kind of seems like a shock, because it seemed like they were going in the right way with updating Zora's drop table and changing it for the better of the game, and then as soon as it's in the wilderness, it's like, screw it, we don't have an algorithm anymore, just update the hell out of it. It just kind of seems like all reasons just thrown out the window, saying, we need people to be in the wilderness, we need people to kill revenants, do this right now. That's like kind of what it seems like. It's just, we've got these things, like Jax is always trying to implement money sinks, which they should, because they're very important to have. A lot of people are like, oh, you have 1 bill RS3, that's nothing, that's like 50k on old school, bro. Bruh, if we keep going the way we're currently going, it's gonna be almost equivalent, so shut your ass up. And that would mean that RS3 would have to smarten up with their drop tables, but unfortunately it seems like both of them are going in the direction of, let's just put alchables on the drop table because it's easy and we're lazy and screw that. Now something that I found to be goddamn interesting is this. Thanks, Ross. It looks like they added ancient emblems, or emblems in general, from way back in the day, if you guys remember them from the EPing system days. I remember Ash strictly talking about this and saying like, we could do that, but it really ruined the economy. And I believe these things here, you trade them in for GP. Do we have ancient emblems in the game right now? Are these literally just recolored ancient emblems that like no one even discussed? Should we add these back into the game? Hell no. Or sorry, I think it's called a statuette or statue, whatever. It was an ancient emblem before, and then I think it was changed to, or Zero's. It was called Zero's artifact. I forget what it was called honestly exactly, but they changed the name of it eventually to ancient something, I believe. But anyways, back to the main topic. That to me was very interesting. Like, I'm not a bit sure that post is a troll. That post is a troll. I'm not even gonna edit this out of the video. I just got fucking joked on, but like, is that real? Did he really turn those in for 3.5 mil pure GP? Is that? What the hell is that? Which does bring me to the question, I wonder how many JMods agree with this current drop table, because I don't think they all worked on it, It's not like it was a team, group effort type of thing. It was like one specific JMod that said, hey, I'll do this, you guys keep doing the other shit. Because I remember NightHaven himself, he was like, ancient emblems and all that shit kind of ruined the economy. And, we all know that firsthand. So I'm not sure if those are actually in the game, but that's how, like, do you get those from revenants? Do we have like ancient items in the I don't know. If there is, then that was a very sly way of bringing them in the game. There wasn't even a mention of those things. Back to the main story of, yeah, I still believe this was all extremely rushed, poor effort, just not a very good job, honestly. But yeah, I do hope that Jax does go and check the data to see how much money is coming in the game from revenants. And maybe I guess compare it to something else, which I'm sure they'll probably make a comparison to like the most camp boss or something like that. But I guess it'll be interesting to see how much money is coming in from revenants versus maybe even Zora. I do believe that most of us players are probably overestimating how much is coming from it, because it might not actually be that much, but it is a little concerning. But back to the main story of it is that it does revolve around the same. The pattern that Jax has always done, which is always 1 step forward, 2 steps back. They try to implement money sinks, they try to fix a boss's drop table so it works well with the economy, and then they throw a curveball at you, which is, the Revenant drop table. When Wyverns came out on Fossil Island, JMods were very anal about wondering if they should increase the drop table or make it more profitable in some way. It was like 300k an hour. They even said, they went as far as to saying they don't even agree with the current Wyverns in the game and their current drop table. They might even nerf those. So it's weird to see like them implementing brand new content. Okay, it's not in the wilderness, whoop-de-doo. and then making it like 400k, 500k an hour, and it's not even just alcohols, it's like items and some alcohols. And they originally brought it in at 300k an hour. Just compare that to Revenants, and it's just like, what the hell? I bet you the same JMod that made the drop table for those new Wyverns would laugh at the drop table that Revenants currently have, because it's like, it seems like they have completely opposite ideas of a drop table. But we had to beg Jags for an update on Fossil Island Wyverns to be increased for their drop table. And they made it from, what, 300k to 500k? 500k an hour. And then you've got this. There seems to be a bit of miscommunication almost between that. Like, where exactly are we going with drop table? Is it, if we put it in the wilderness, does it deserve 10 times the drop table? Is that where we're going with this? Now, what I would be fine with is if they were to maybe come out with some type of money sink, hopefully in the future. I hope like that would be great balancing. If they were to put this in the game, and for some weird reason just keep it like that, I would hope that, you know, a month from now they come up with some new money sinks for the game to kind of just sink that money back out of the game that it, you know, shouldn't really even be there. I'd be more okay with that. This whole Rev Caves thing, my only real issue with it is the drop table. It's not the Rev Caves being there. It's not the fact that it's in the wilderness. None of that shit. I also care about the economy. I think most skillers do. I think a lot of PVMers do as well. PKers, when it comes to economy, it doesn't affect them in any way at all, really, I don't think. I mean, unless you count PKing and AGS now versus before. Yeah, there's a difference there for sure. I do hope that most PKers, I guess, will understand that it's not the drop table that we have an issue with. It's just the sheer fact that it's pure profit, pure GP coming in the game. I couldn't care less if Revenants dropped an item that was worth 16 mil. Or, yeah, I think Dragon Legs and Dragon Plates go to 16 mil roughly. And it's never going to go down because it has an alkali that keeps the price there. I'd be fine if it dropped something that was worth 6 mil, but pure gold, that's like the worst way you can almost go. Though I will admit, you know, there was quite a few options for Revenants and what they dropped, and they did all fail, which I would assume as a JMod, that would be quite frustrating probably, to have to work around. And, you know, like I said, this is kind of just a lazy way out. I think they should have worked a bit harder on the drop table, discussed more with players what they would like to see in the drop table if it's not going to be PvP armors. There's a lot of interesting items they could have added. One thing to go with is the Eternal items. We have an Eternal Glory in the game from the Wilderness. Maybe an Eternal Binding Necklace, which is used for Rune Crafters. Maybe even an Eternal Duel Ring, where you just add duel rings to it, and you know, that's it. I mean, there could have been plenty of things that they could have came up with that would have filled, you know, the gap for the kills and made it better than just pure gold. But yeah, I don't really have an issue with how much profit they are, just the items that they do drop seem to be a little bit not correct, or not thought out, or not balanced. Now, I do want to touch back on this subject, because I know that there was a poll. Let me see if I can find it. One thing really to quickly add, as I'm looking through these polls, I do feel pretty bad that the loot key thing didn't actually pass. I do apologize to the PKers if people voted no to that, because that would have been like a quality of life update. I'm not sure why they didn't just add it as a toggleable option almost, honestly, at this point. But that loot key shit seems like a really nice update. If I was a PKer, that's something that I would probably definitely want. That wouldn't really affect the economy in any way. Maybe even, I don't know how many looting bots there are these days, but, you know, those would probably go away if this was a thing. But judging by this poll, what did it pass? It failed by, like, holy shit, it got like 57%. I do wonder what the negatives of that are. Why did people vote no to that one? That one is interesting. As to why it was voted no on. I'm not sure if was there like a weird thing that people thought of that would happen then if that happened, or like, is there a really big negative, or it's just people wanting to vote no on it? But in my opinion, this is one of those things that they could have added to the game without really even polling it, considering PKers don't get any updates. Why? Because this doesn't affect anyone. That's why. This doesn't affect PVMers, this doesn't affect skillers, it doesn't affect anyone really at all. So that is a strong one that I would say should have probably passed or not even really been polled, honestly. It's just more of a convenience thing to PKers. I would assume maybe it failed because it doesn't feel very old school. If you kill someone, you know, you would always see their loot on the ground, blah, blah, blah. And maybe it feels weird just seeing a key in your inventory on the ground or whatever it was going to be. You know, that is kind of odd, I guess. I think it would fix anti-rushing a lot, though, definitely. If you kill someone, boom, you're out of the wilderness, and there's no such thing as anti-rushers or PJ, whatever there might be. PJers, I guess, would still be a thing. I don't think those are even a thing nowadays, though, but anti-rushing or rushing in general would just not be a thing anymore. I'm not sure exactly where this pole is. I can't really seem to find it. Was it, like, removed or something? Because I know they did rejuvenation poll like twice or something, and they like reworded the one, I think, so I'm not sure, but the question was basically, should we make it so if there's a skilling option or a poll, you know, should PKers be able to vote on it, should PVMers be able to vote on it, if there's a PKing update, should, you know, skillers be able to vote on it, and blah blah blah. You get the point. I would assume it wouldn't be you can't vote on it. I would just assume that would mean if you're a PKer in a PvP type of poll, maybe a PKer would have their vote would be worth more. Instead of worth 1, it would be worth like 1.5 votes or like 1.25 or something like that. It is an interesting thing to discuss. I think it's a fair thing to discuss. I don't necessarily like the... I don't like how it excludes part of the community, because like, this is supposed to be a community game, blah blah blah. That's true. I do think it sucks for people that are, you know, the minority, and they kind of get screwed over by things like this, so I can understand why definitely PKers would want something like this. And a skiller, you know, they've already got polls passing like crazy, so why would they care? Though if you ever thought about it, a lot of skillers don't actually want skilling to get easier, even though they are with every poll, so that's kind of interesting to think about as well. I mean, does a skiller really want skills to get easier, or does someone trying to become a skiller want skills to be easier? You know what I mean? Now, like I said at the start of this video, I don't think this would fix all the problems with voting, unfortunately. I think there would still be issues with it. You know, people obviously feeling devalued and things like that because their vote's not worth the same and whatnot. So it does have some negatives. I'm very surprised, actually, that it got like 60% yes to the vote. That was pretty shocking to me. I thought it would have failed like quite a bit more than that. However, it did obviously still fail, but I'm pretty surprised it got that much percentage. Now, one thing I would like to point out, this might sound controversial, I bet you PKers will hate that I say this, but I will say one thing. That idea wouldn't apply to what they currently just put in the wilderness. If you are to release revenants in the wilderness that drop valuable items for someone to take and sell, that is not a PKer killing revenants, which means you are actually affecting other players in the community, not just PKers. That is not a PKing specific update. A PKing specific update is loot keys. Those are specific for PKers. It doesn't happen anywhere else. You know, if PVMers loved it so much, maybe they would pull it for PVMers. I mean, I think that's kind of odd. I mean, it's nice to see the drop on the ground, obviously, but loot keys is PvP only. That's a PvP update. Adding revenants to the wilderness that drop items that PKers expect PVMers or people trying to make money go and kill, that's not PvP only update. It's just not. Because you're expecting other people besides PKers to go kill them, which means you are affecting another part of the RuneScape community, another aspect of it. Whether they're important or not in your eyes, they are still there, and it would be unfair to let it so only PKers vote, because then technically I could see this being a poll. Hey, PKers, should we add this in the wilderness? Even though it's mad OP, every PKer would vote yes on it. Should we add a 300k woodcutting an hour method in the wilderness? Of course every PKer is going to vote yes to that, but is that a PKing update or a skilling update? Just because it's in the wilderness doesn't make it a PvP update, a PKing update. It's just sugar-coated with that. So yes, in some cases I would definitely be fine with it being more of a selected group that can vote towards something that affects them more than others. Definitely, I can see that being, you know, good and bad, but there needs to be a good verification as to, does this affect other people. For a small example, if there was a skilling, you know, poll, should we add a Slayer cave in the wilderness that gives you double loot for everything? And then should we also add 95 Slayer required to enter the cave? As a PKer, you'd be like, wait a minute, I can't vote on this bullshit, you're putting it in my wilderness, I can't vote on that, are you kidding me? Well, that's exactly, exactly. As long as one doesn't interfere in any possible way with the other, I think it's fine then in those cases to add that, because you know some people do vote the opposite just to piss people off or just because they don't like those type of people or something like that. Yes, I think that is, you know, kind of a shitty thing, but it is in the game and it's happening, and you know I can definitely see it happening with a lot of the PvP polls, but it has to come down to fairness as well, and it wouldn't be fair to do that to PKers, to put a 95 Slayer requirement in a Slayer cave in the wilderness, because PKers would be excited about that cave, and then as soon as they hear you need 95 Slayer to enter, they'd be like, wait a minute, no. Maybe not the best example, probably not, because I just thought about it on the spot. I'm not sitting here planning shit for this video. This is just a discussion video. But you can apply that to many different cases. It's case to case type of thing. So yes, I believe sometimes it should be a thing. With PvP armors, unfortunately, they came from people killing revs, not PKers. Now, another interesting thing that you could do, I know PKers won't like this idea, but technically, this is how you would make PvP armor PvP only. If, and only if, I would say PvP armors would be untradeable. That way, if you're a PKer and you want PvP armors, you gotta go kill revenants, haha, forced by the way, and then you don't affect the economy, then you don't affect PVMers. It would obviously make it so people don't kill revenants for profit though, because they're not going to make anything from it now, because now they have to go like PKing with that armor. But if that was the case, then yes, that wouldn't affect anyone. That would only be for PKers. But by expecting other people to come kill them for you in the wilderness, and then you can buy the armor from them, you are including another part of the community into that update, and it would be unfair to make it so that their vote is not worth as much as yours, you know, because you are affecting them. So to summarize that, you know, like I said, I wouldn't be completely against that type of polling system, but you need to make sure that you don't affect any other parts of the community in any way at all before something like that would come into play, because there's always going to be, for most part, especially with the wilderness, because it's not really a PKing type of update sometimes. It's more of just get everyone involved and get everyone in the wilderness. You know, it does affect other people. Now, something that I maybe should have put at the start of this video, because not many people are watching at 40-minute mark, is this is a weirdly weird example, but it did work on another game, as we like to.
Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to show you 5 AFK combat money making methods. So the first method in this video is probably the best method that I'm going to show in this video. Not a lot of people are knowing about this method. The requirement before you can do this one is starting the contact quest, but it's useful if you complete the quest, so you can use the bank here inside. So this kind of inventory that you should bring, except for the scepter. So be sure to bring a light source, tinderbox, enough prayer potion, kinda based on how long you want to do this method, same for the super attack and the super strength, and also be sure to bring some alk runes. Also for the people who have a herb sack or a gem bag, also be sure to bring these bags, because they are really useful. They are dropping often herbs and gems, but I don't have them yet, but if you have them, just bring them. For the armor, you just need a good prayer bonus armor, so I'm wearing monk robes here, but proselyte is way better. The important thing is that you bring a Zamorak Hasta or any kind of good stab or crash weapon, so a bludgeon you can bring as well. But that's the important thing. Something else is that you have to wear your ring of wealth, and for the other armor pieces, just try to focus on reaching the best prayer bonus and strain bonus armor. So first, for the people who don't know where we are right now, we are here in Sophanum. So we have to complete contact quest, or at least start the quest. If you come with your scepter to the Pyramid Plunder minigame, you just can go outside, run east, and you should find the trapdoor here to go down. So let's climb down here, and once again climb down. Be sure to have your light source with you. From here on we have to run west, so keep running west. Here you shall find a mage, just keep running west. And at this point you go south, and here you shall find a Locust Rider. So the only thing we have to do here is standing AFK, turning out protect from ranged on, and he is respawning every 5 or 6 seconds. They are dropping very often great stuff, so sometimes you're gonna make more money than other hours, kinda based on how lucky you are with the RNG. So this is kinda how the first AFK combat moneymaker works. It will be around 500 to 800k profit in an hour, kinda based on how lucky you are. Also around 40,000 defense experience in an hour just from standing here AFK. Be sure if you are using the Zamarkan Hasta that you are using the stab style, because you have the most attack bonus with stab on these monsters with your weapon. Every 10 or 15 minutes they will become non-aggressive, then you just have to run west and come back and they will be aggressive again. So this was the first method, let's go to the next one. So here the armor for second location. Again we need a good prayer bonus armor, so here I'm wearing proselyte. You can go with monk robes as well, together with a cloak, war blessing, good prayer bonus armor, and of course good attack and strain bonus armor. But the required item for this one is a slayer helmet or a face mask. Also be sure to bring a ring of wealth, because this is very important. For the location you can teleport to Corinth or just go to the center of Corinth. Investigate the statue, and we are here in the catacombs of Great Corinth. So from here on we have to run east until you see the Musk Giants. From here go a little bit south. If you see the other ones, just go east, and here you should find Dust Devils. And from here on we have to run a little bit south and you'll find another spot with Dust Devils. Hop until you find an empty world, and for the AFK method just click on all the Dust Devils and you can stand a couple of minutes AFK. Just have a look on your screen, sometimes you will have to pick up the drops, sometimes you will have to click on a prayer potion, and sometimes you're just gonna need to click on all the Dust Devils again. But this one is pretty AFK. Also the profit an hour should be around 400 to 600k profit an hour. So this is the inventory that we are bringing, the Bone Crush. Let's go to the next one. Wear your nose pack and maybe turn your protect from magic on. Climb up the staircase.
What is up guys, we are back with another top 5 combat moneymakers for mid-levels. Keep in mind that these are monsters that I think are good for mid-levels when wanting to train combat and make money, but they may not be the only ones. If you have not seen the other video I made on this, go ahead and watch that as well. If you have any monsters in mind that you think also make good money at this level, leave it in the comments. And
hey guys, welcome to a brand new video. Today I'm going to be going over my top 5 wilderness money making methods. So these will all be very high risk, high reward type methods, some of them getting up to 2 or 3 mil an hour, but of course you'll be risking quite a bit at that point. Most of these are going to be centered around combat, so you will need a relatively high combat level, so either high range or high melee combat skills. Alright guys, hope you enjoy, and let's get started. So coming in at number 5 is a pretty well-known one, but that's why I put it number 5, and that is killing green dragons. Now this can get you up to about 400 to 500k an hour, depending on how efficient you're doing it, which is decent, and it's really not that risky. You're only in like level 15 to 17 wilderness, and you can teleport out, and people PKing there usually are not too good, so you can just run away either way. What you're going to want to bring is some cheap ranging or melee gear. I'm going to be ranging them just because I have a higher range level. You're just going to want to bring a glory plus some black d'hide, as well as a rune crossbow, and most importantly an anti-dragon fire shield, of course. If you have 55 slayer, broad bolts are very nice because they're very cost effective and you're not risking anything really to use them. It's always important before you go in the wilderness to check your items left on death. So I'm going to be risking about 60k. If you wanted, you don't really have to bring the archer's helm. It's not really necessary, but you don't die too much here, so I'm going to bring it. I also like to bring a burning amulet because there's a teleport relatively close by that you can go to, which is just the bandit camp. and that's level 17 Wilderness. Then I think you just have to run a little bit to the west from there. So from here, these dragons are just down here, so it's a pretty close teleport, and if you get into trouble, all you have to do is teleport out with a Glory or a Ring of Wealth, but you might as well bring the Glory because you're going to get the stat boost from that. Also, a ranging potion is important, just to get those extra levels. So obviously, the higher your range level is, the more money per hour you're going to get, or the higher your combat stats, but you can see how quickly these things die. Like, they really don't even have that much health at all. I probably bought a little bit too much food, honestly. All you pick up is a green dragon eye and the dragon bones, and that's pretty much it. Ideally, you'd find a world with nobody in it, but it's pretty popular, so that may not happen. Now, you could bring an anti-fire potion or an extended anti-fire potion, but I have a decently high defense level relatively to these dragons at least, so I'm not going to take that much damage. It's not that big a deal. And also, it's very important to bring a looting bag, which I forgot, so don't do as I do, do as I say, or whatever that expression is. So this is just a nice entry-level method in the wilderness, so if you want to try killing things here, this is a nice way to do it. And yeah, let's move on to number 4. Now coming in at number 4 is going to be actually the Revenant Caves. Now the reason I'm putting this so low is because there are so many people there trying to kill you, so really once this has been out a bit longer, it's going to be, I think, even more viable. But the money per hour here can vary quite a bit. I would say minimum, if you don't get killed, you're going to get a mil an hour. So what you want to bring is the most cost-effective gear possible. You're going to want a blowpipe and some black d'hide and a Emmet of Glory for the slim chance you'll be able to teleport out of there. Now, some people bring the Bracelet of Ethereum, which makes you invulnerable to the Revenant, but the likelihood of you dying is so high right now that I would recommend not doing it, because you lose it on death no matter what every single time, which is like a 70k loss pretty much if you charge it at all. So I'm really just bringing a full inventory of sharks to try to get away, ranging potion and a stamina potion to get there, as well as the burning amulet to teleport. Which you're going to want to go to the lava maze. Ideally, come here with someone with high range and a low combat level, because you will have a much higher chance of surviving. My main isn't the ideal level because anyone can attack me. So since I'm not bringing a Bracelet of Ethereum, you're going to want to focus on the weaker and lower level Revenants because they're not too damaging, and really you're going to want to teleport out as soon as you get anything relatively good, because someone will come and try to kill you right away. There's clans teleporting around all the time, just trying to kill people who look like me. So guys like the Revenant Imps are going to be one-shots, easy to kill, and they can even drop actually Onyx Bolt Tips or stuff like that. And they're going to want to pick up all the Revenant Ether. That's actually somewhat valuable. And honestly, once you actually get into the cave, you're a little bit safer. Running there can be the highest chance of you dying, currently anyway. And it's really fun because even low-level monsters like this are going to get you relatively good drops. And it's just really fun, actually. Surprisingly, I really don't like being in the wilderness and dying a lot, but I'm actually enjoying this quite a bit. Alright, let's just check this drop quickly, and we got Revenant Ether times 6, which is like a K. Coming in at number 3 is going to be killing lava dragons. Now, the potential profit here is less, but the potential for you to die is also quite a bit less. You may have noticed that I didn't even take a looting bag to Revenant Caves, just because of how often you can die. However, I would recommend bringing that to lava dragons. Lava dragons are most often killed with magic. A Trident of the Swamp is ideal, and I'm also bringing in a Rim's top and bottom, as well as finishing up the rest of my gear with kind of trash stuff. And I'm also bringing rune gloves just because they are not too valuable. As far as inventory, I'm just bringing some monkfish, a looting bag, a games necklace, and some energy and stamina potions, as well as some runes to cast telekinetic grab, because I'm going to be killing it from the southern entrance. The reason I like doing that is because you have a much lower chance of dying. The problem here is that there is Vedion or something in the way, which can get quite annoying, but honestly way less annoying than getting attacked by PKers all the time. So we're going to start off by teleporting to the Corporal Beast, and then we're going to run north to the southern entrance of the Lava Dragon Isle. So once you're out, you're just going to want to run north, and if we open up the map, it's actually relatively close. If you have the agility shortcut, great, but I do not have the agility level for that currently. However, it will be extremely useful for escaping any potential PKers. So the profit per hour of lava dragons can vary a bit, but you're going to get minimum 600k an hour, assuming you don't die too much. And you can get lucky and get upwards of maybe a mil an hour on some of your better runs. So around where the agility shortcut is a pretty easy place where you can aggro the dragons from. You have to keep in mind that you will need, of course, to telekinetic grab the loot after. But for the most part, if you can attack it, you will be able to grab the loot. So you can see how quickly the Trident actually rips through the lava dragons. Is really nice. And these guys have a chance of dropping a Draconic Visage. They drop Onyx Bolt Tips a lot, and okay, so Dwarf. As well as some other decent consumable drops. And yeah, once you get the drop, all you have to do is cast, oh, look at that, first drop, Onyx Bolt Tips 100k. And we'll go ahead and pick up the rest of the stuff too. Another quick tip is actually if you bring a Pestle Mortar, you can actually turn the lava scales into ground lava scale or something, which will allow you to have a little bit more inventory space. And yeah, that's it guys, a really fun method just because the drops are so good. There was a chance of getting PK'd, but it is much less down here. Most people are running in from inside the Dragon Isle. Coming in at number 2 is recharging Dragonstone jewelry at the Fountain of Rune. Now this one is an extremely high risk, high reward method. The main reason is because you're carrying a ton of Amulets of Glory. Well, you can recharge Rings of Wealth are another good one, or you can even do skilled necklaces and stuff like that. Mainly those first two are the general ones people do. But you can see I'm risking 500k to go do this, but the margin on each one, let's see here. We bought them for 19.8k each, and we're going to sell them hopefully for about 21.2. So that's a 1.4k margin on each piece, and we can do like 26 per inventory, so it's about 36k per inventory charge. So let's go see how long it takes me to do this run. So things you will need is either 90 magic and access to the Anakarl teleport, or you just need to finish ancient magics and use an Anakarl teleport. Since I don't have 90 magic, I'm just going to use the teleport. It's not that big a deal. It'll be a little bit less money per hour, however. So to start, we're going to right click and break the Anakarl teleport. I really appreciate this, not just a left click activated ability, because that is extremely risky. It's going to teleport us to the Greater Demon section of the wilderness, very deep in the wildy. From here we're just going to run to the west, and there's a little spit here that will actually go into where the Fountain of Rune is. And in the center there is the, well, fountain that you can use your uncharged glories on to recharge them. Now this is really the risky part here because you're really stuck in here. You do it all at once and you get a bunch of glories. Now there also is a very rare chance of getting an eternal glory, which I don't know how much it's worth now, but it's tens and tens of mil. After you recharge them, you're going to run up north to where the obelisk is, and you're going to look for any area that's in less than level 30 wilderness, and you're going to teleport out with one of your glories. Okay, so we got level 27 wilderness, so you're just going to rub it, and we teleport to Edgeville, and there we go, run complete. It took about a minute and a half. So every minute we're going to get about 24k, and in an hour we're getting about 1.5 mil. If you do runs in about 2 minutes, you're going to get closer to 1 mil. Really good method, but an extremely high risk method at that. And coming in at number 1 is exchanging ancient pieces for cash in the new Revenant Caves. Now I did this on day 1 and got a ton of money, but I'm going to go test it out quickly just on, well, it's about a week later now. So we're getting about an 8k margin on the Ancient Emblem right now, and that's probably the one I'm going to end up doing, just because comparative to the other 2 ancient pieces, their margins are like 15k and 20k, but they are 2 and 4 times more expensive. So it's a really simple principle. There's the emblem trader in the Revenant Caves that will exchange emblems for 500k, 1 mil, and 2 mil respectively. The ancient emblem is 500k, the ancient totem is 1 mil, and the ancient statuette is 2 mil. Really just want to bring some defensive gear that doesn't weigh you down too much. I'm bringing a prayer potion because I'm going to be protecting an item, and on the very off chance someone tries to smite me or something, I don't know, I'll have a prayer potion. It's not a huge loss otherwise. So we have a look at our items lost on death, risking about 36k, which is not too bad. One last thing you want to make sure you bring is a Dragonstone piece of jewelry, either a glory or a ring of wealth. It doesn't really matter too much. So we're going to start off by teleporting to actually the bandit camp, and now the reason is we need to find the emblem trader, but we need him to be ideally in less than level 30 wilderness, because you want to be able to teleport out right away. This method is much safer if he's in level 30 wilderness or less, as opposed to having to run through the wilderness with like 2 mil cash for a little bit, which is not great at all. So once you're in a cave, you just have to run around and find him. It's a bit of a pain, but once you've located him, it's not nearly as bad because you can power through this really quickly and run back extremely quick, and he doesn't have much time to move around locations so much, but finding him the first time can be a bit of a pain. So the clips here are pretty much from day 1 after the Revenant Caves were released, and I was getting really 6 to 7 mil per hour here. Now that it has died down a bit, and I went and checked the margins, if you're actually on it and doing about 50 to 60 runs an hour, which you can totally do if you know where the actual emblem trader is, you could still get close to 2 mil an hour. And if you take the time, and that's using the cheapest emblem, which you'll be getting an 8k margin on. Day 1 I was getting a 40k margin on it, and if you went and bought the ancient statuette or something like that, you could get larger margins. However, the main drawback is of course the price. of the ancient items, it would cost you in the range of 100 mil plus to have enough to do this for an hour with any of the more expensive items. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to toss it a like, always appreciated, and I'll see you in the next video.
Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be going over how to run ancient artifacts in old school RuneScape. This is currently the most profitable money making method that I am aware of. It is very high risk, does require some actual assets to put into it to actually get things going, and does require having a second account to scout. It also requires specific account builds, specifically
me. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Yeah, yeah. You're breaking up, honey. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. What, did you just call me? Yeah, you just honey, you just called me. Yeah, just called me. Phone. Nice. Please, have me. Okay. I don't know. You love. So what's going on? Look, your hair looks good. Honey, did you do your hair like a long time ago? Maybe I could see it. Like I was looking right at you for a long time. It's not like you purposely word something. Like I didn't. Okay. So. Yeah. Didn't you do it like weeks ago? See.